order. And we are being recorded. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that. We are being recorded, and maybe we can get into this a little bit now. So I want to, Rich, talk to the question at hand about dealing with the Rancourt application.
The question I would have to him would have been, is there going to be any additional clearing to move that shed, relocate it where we get to a different location where we permitted it? And if that was the answer, my answer to my vote would be yes, let's vote to allow him to move it. And the reason he's proposed to move it, I'm sure, is the fact that he proposed it under the power line, and I doubt whether CMP would have approved building the shed under their power line.
Right, they have distance requirements that must be met, and we've talked about those in the past. Gary, could I turn to you for a second? Gary?
Sure.
Do you know if Rancourts are planning on attending?
I don't know. I thought they were.
Okay. In my view, since I know that Rich has an important question for the applicants, I don't know if we can go forward on this particular one. This is just my thought. Without the applicants here to address or answer the question that Rich has, and there may be other questions.
It could be an answer of whatever, that we approve the relocation provided there is no additional clearing. Otherwise, I think we ought to wait to see whether Mr. Rancourt shows up. But we also have to be, in order to continue with this, we're going to have Sarah available, because there's only three. If one of us is not here, then we don't have a quorum.
For that application, correct.
Yeah, I'll do my best to stay as long as I can in the meeting, okay?
Okay.
So hopefully they will show up before I have to leave.
Okay. All right, thanks. So could we table this one, the Rancourt application, and then get on to the other business at hand?
Yeah, I think we need to.
This is a temporary table, correct?
Right. We're just kind of laying in wait until we think that the applicants would be showing up to.
Okay. And perhaps Gary could try to get a hold of them and remind him or whatever, so that we can deal with this tonight.
I'll see what I can do.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. Okay, so that's set aside, parking lot issue for the moment. Let's see, after that, do we want to deal with, Tyler had a question about to see if we could schedule a site visit. I think that was next, based on the recent request via email. Is that right?
Sure. This is Jeff Allen. I'm working with Mr. Evans. So yeah, that's what we'd like to do. Very quickly, we've submitted a new site plan that's about page 340 in your package, somewhere way in toward the end. But basically, we're looking at a similar configuration to what he had before, but laid out a little bit differently. We have a total of 11 lots, and kind of looking toward expansion to the rest of his lot in the future. So I wondered if this time we're sort of redoing our sketch plan is what I'm assuming. And so I wondered if we wanted to schedule some opportunity for the board to come out and take a look at the property and see what we're going to be doing.
Other planning board members, would that be something that we could accomplish? Just setting up a date for a site visit, or several?
I think so. I mean, unlike the last time we had attempted to set up a site visit and ran into problems because of COVID-19, I would think we could manage this a little differently, and to allow us to go forward. among other things, there isn't the level of, at least at this point in time, the level of public interest that there was in the other application, with the fear, concern that we'd have a mob scene on site. So
Right.
unless Tyler has or Jeff have reservations in that regard, from a safety standpoint.
Not at all.
Okay. And to air this out a little bit, if we have more than two, right, if we have a quorum attending a site visit, then that would have to be a publicized thing. So bearing all that in mind, planning board members, what do we suggest for a site visit date or dates?
I'll defer to those of you that are actually working for a living.
I can go typically after 5 p.m. Personally, and I would try and make it on given days that might work out for others.
Peter, I can make it after 5, and I could go with you. We keep it at 2.
Okay,
The 2 people.
sure. So Pete, what you're saying is if we had a couple of dates, if the Pete's went on one date, then others could go at other times. Is that what you're suggesting as an option?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be more convenient for the applicant and his consultant if we all did it on the same day?
Yeah,
Yes.
I would agree with that myself, and we shouldn't split it up simply so we don't have to make it a public meeting or something.
Right. It's okay that it's a publicized meeting. I just want to make sure we were aware of that. That's all. So, all right. So maybe we agree that we're going to have one visit. It's going to be publicized, and we have to land on a date. So
How far out do you have to publicize it? So it's going to be a couple weeks or something?
it have to be 7 days in advance of
Yeah.
whatever date we select.
I'm pretty flexible, so I don't care.
Okay.
Same here, Peter.
Same here.
Thanks.
Sunday after 5 would be fine with me.
So someday after 5. So may I just kick it off and say, let's go out. How about, I'm looking later in the month. It gives us more than 2 weeks, so 3 weeks. Could we do like Tuesday, June 22nd at 5?
I can.
I'll have to pass. I'll be in Baxter State Park.
Okay. No problem. Rich, is
That's it's okay with me.
What is the date again?
Tuesday, June 22nd.
Should be here.
At
Works for me.
5. And Tyler and Jeff, where do we go?
Dunn Road, just west of the transfer station. It will be just before Hardwood Circle on your left.
Okay.
Yep, there's a gravel entrance, plenty of room for off-street parking.
Okay. Great. So then I would like to turn to Julie. Julie, so we are planning on a site visit at 5 p.m. at this location on Tuesday, June 22nd. And since we're all going to be there, so if you would be so kind as to help us out with that part, that would be most helpful. Okay. I'm going
Okay.
with it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So planning board, are we good with this particular item then?
Yes.
And I want to turn to the applicants, both Jeff and Tyler. Is there anything else you need from us right now other than establishing this date where we?
No, I think this is, that's all I need right now. Be happy to entertain any questions when we get out there. And, look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I see no other hands raised from other planning board members, so I think we're okay. So we'll see you on the 22nd down at the site.
Great. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, everybody. All right, great. All right, so we've, relative to our agenda, thank you, everybody. We've gone a little bit out of order, and I appreciate as we do this. So under old business, we are kind of waiting for anything that might be about old business item B. We've talked about old business item A and established a date. Planning board members, do you think that we could now, with people here present, are we going to go to the commercial development one? Which, is that where we are with this?
I think so. That's the only other piece of old business.
Yep. Okay, let's do it. So Steve, welcome.
Thank you, Peter.
Sure. So you wish to have a permit extension request, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. The process has moved slowly, and we are working diligently to get all of our ducks in a row, but we're looking for an extension because there's no way we will have that in place by the time the permit is up.
Because thanks, Steve. So there's a real dependency on what MPUC is doing, right? If it takes them longer, you're just delayed until they can do what they need to do, whatever that might be. Is that still correct?
Yeah, it's a combination of the MPUC and the Central Maine Power Company.
Okay. Well, since your lies on those other things, they don't see any problem by granting an extension of this permit. But that's my own personal opinion. I'm not speaking for the board. I would turn to the other board members to help air this out a little bit. Anybody?
Sure.
Rich, go ahead.
Yeah, I have the same thinking you do, is no fault of Mr. Bucksbaum that we're in this situation. And I would be supportive of extending it myself.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else have any opinions about this?
I'll support an extension.
Thank you, Craig. Anything?
I'm fine with an extension.
Okay. And George, are you abstaining?
Yeah, I'm going to recuse myself to avoid the appearance of a conflict.
Understood. And this is also where I think Sarah had said the same thing, correct?
Yes, Sarah's fine with it.
Okay, super. So this sounds pretty simple, in my opinion. Are there any questions about the request to grant a permit extension on this project? Okay, hearing none, I would then entertain a motion on this request for a permit extension.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request from Solar Fields, Mr. Bucksbaum, to extend, give a 12-month extension of the permit for Solar Fields.
Okay. Do we have a motion on the floor to grant the extension for the 12
I'll
months?
second it.
Seconded. Thank you, Craig. Motion and seconded. Any more discussion? Seeing no hands raised, we'll do a roll call vote. So Rich,
Yes.
1 in favor. Craig,
Yes.
Pete,
Yes,
and I'm in favor. So that's 4 in favor, 1 recuse, I guess you'd say that, or 2, I guess I would say 2 recuse, because Sarah would recuse, I think. And so it passes. So that request has been granted. So it would go out another 12 months.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
So-
best wishes. Yeah,
thank you.
Good luck with that.
Thank you.
thanks. So planning board, we've gone through items on old business, both items I'm sorry, not B. I do not see any Rand courts present. Next, I think is under new business. We have John and Lisa Vayu.
Yes, we're here. John,
Hey, John, welcome.
how are you?
for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Great. Let's see, Gary, are you with us right now? I see your phone.
I am.
So this is down at Park Hill
Yes.
Road, is that right?
Is that the name of it? Park Hill? Park Hill Point Road, I believe.
Yep, 37 Park Hill Point Road.
Okay, thank you. And the purpose of this application is you propose to have an expansion of a non-conforming structure where you want to build a 24 by 20 addition with a 24 by 10 porch screen room to be attached to the existing camp. Is that, do we have it all?
Yeah. So the footprint's a little different. It's 24 by 22. There was a revision. It's not going to change the way the building is configured. It's just 2 feet deeper towards away from the water. We're not moving it closer to the water.
Okay. And John, if you could just help me orient myself. I was trying to figure out where Park Hill Point Road is. Is that off the Point Road?
Yeah, no, it's right off Route 8. So you know the old bed and breakfast that's now closed, right after the intersection of 8 and 11.
Yep.
There's Polly's farmhouse on the left. Then
Yeah.
there's the old bed and
Yeah.
breakfast, and then Park Hill Point Road is right after the bed and breakfast. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I couldn't for the life of me, I couldn't figure out where Park Hill, and I drive by, well, when I drive to work, I drive by it every day, twice a day.
Yeah, there's only 3 of us on this road, and 2 of them are year-round residents. So
Okay.
it's pretty quiet down here, which is nice.
Okay, great. Gary, have you been down to that site?
I have.
Is it flat?
It's relatively flat. There's not much slope between the existing deck that's on the front down towards the water. I'm just checking, maybe one of these pictures might show it.
Yeah, I can share my screen as well. I've got some photos if you need.
So before we do, I just want to make sure, because our application package is big, so I'm just trying to navigate to it.
Yeah. And I was happy to see the agenda, and we've already gotten to me already. So this is a good thing
It is a good thing.
for all of you, including me.
Yes, sir.
Starts on page 331.
Okay.
I think I clogged my printer at work by printing the whole thing, not knowing.
Thank you, Craig. This is
Well, we got to do what we can for the paper industry.
Yes, no, I appreciate that.
Hey. Page 331.
getting there. Sorry.
331.
While I'm searching for that, anybody have any questions for John?
I have one question. I believe, so this afternoon we received a new schematic drawing. I don't know if that's a
Yeah, that
Hammond
was,
lumber drawing or somebody, some other architect, but
yeah, it's we piggybacked off when we realized that Hammond didn't do structural design plans for builders. We had an engineer, structural engineer, work up the Hammond plan with a structural schematic to it. So I submitted that to Gary about 2 months ago, and for whatever reason, it didn't make it to your package until today. But essentially, the footprint's exactly the same. It's just they turned the gable end so that the gable end is now facing the water as opposed to away from the water. But the footprint is exactly the same.
is the new gable the same height as the old gable
No, the old gable is only 16 feet tall and the new gable is 3 feet taller. Still within the 25-foot
Okay,
window.
that's the way it looks at, from the drawing, but it,
Yeah,
it could
it's
have been
a
just
little
leading.
taller, but not a lot taller.
Okay. And you said earlier that the footprint of the addition is 24 by 22 rather than 24 by 20 as it was originally proposed.
Yes, and that's on the schematic that you just held up. That was submitted in April. Again, just to get the items into the building that we needed. We're essentially adding sleeping space. It's a beautiful old 100-year-old cottage, but it's not set up for sleeping except in the main floor. So we're adding some sleeping. We've got 3 boys and hopefully a growing family with them at some point too. So we just need a little bit more space. But it's meant to be a camp. It's not going to be a year-round structure. We've got it on concrete footers and posts, just like the original camp. There is a dormer put on that shows on the schematic for the original camp that we're no longer going to do. It wasn't cost effective. So we're going to keep the original structure as is.
Okay. Thank you.
What type of clearing, if any, do you need to do?
None. So on the side of the building where the addition is going, it was the old leach field, which was already cleared. So we had to take down one big tree to make room for the septic system we relocated. And that was pretty much it. Everything is cleared. That area was flat because it was a leach field. So the new septic system's already installed. Kevin Hawes did that for us. And, it's obviously state of the art as opposed to an old, however many years old, 500-gallon steel tank. And it kind of a leach field, but not really. So this is a real system, which is obviously a benefit to everyone. We want to make sure we do our part too.
Thank you.
So we're excited about it. I'm a 4th generation. My boys are 5th generation on Great Pond. So actually, I grew up on Great Pond my entire childhood, and I went to high school in Winslow, but I commuted. My parents sold our camp and built a year-round house in North Bay when I was in high school. So I commuted because I didn't have hockey at Messalonsky. So I commuted to Winslow, but I was here. This is where we really consider home. So we're really excited about it.
Yep, I hear you.
Very good.
I'm thinking, John, that we're about the same age because when I was at Messalonsky, we did not have hockey.
No, they turned into a powerhouse, but that was well after I was gone.
Yep.
But I was fortunate to play a bit at Colby too. So it was I'm a lot of ties to the community, which is great.
Yep, indeed. Excellent. So I can see too, we're talking a little bit about the septic system. I can see the subsurface wastewater disposal system application that's in here.
Yep.
At least sized, it looks like, for what you're doing.
Yep.
Peter, actually, that's the permit as well that we require because Gary's already signed off on it and issued it.
Yeah, that was issued in the fall. Yep, and we put it in the spring.
Thank you. I just scrolled up. I could see Gary's signature there from September 16th, it looks like.
Yep.
All right. All right. So we have the septic system in place.
Yes.
Rich, you talked about clearing, and the answer was none, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, I should have.
And there is no earthwork being done. Is that correct?
There is. They're digging for footers so that we have frost protection, but it's not going to be below the frost line. And that's a local, Dana Labby is doing that, a local contractor.
So thank you. So, and this is all in the shoreline zone, correct?
Yeah, so the front of the deck, which is at the front of the main camp, is 71 feet away from the water. Most of the new addition is beyond 100 feet. Only the front porch, which is set back from the existing camp itself, not the front deck, is about 85 feet from the water at the front. So the deck, the screen room, and 5 feet into the addition is within 100 feet. The rest is beyond 100 feet.
Okay. So part is in and others is not.
Right, and we wanted to do it so it looked right, and, you know, I know some folks would put it right in front of the closest spot you could. It kind of ruins the views and the way that the land is laid out, so we're kicking it back as opposed to going as far forward as we could. It just makes more sense.
Great, thanks. The reason why I was asking about where the earthwork was being done is with applications of this nature, we would ask for and require that a certified contractor be listed with their DEP number on the application. So, and as I'm looking at it at this minute, John, I don't see that value on the application. So if this is approved, I'm thinking we'd be looking for that as a condition.
Yeah, Gary asked me about, you know, silt fences and things like that. I sent him an email with the contractor info and what they're doing, which is what you expect. Hay bales is needed and a silt fence. But there's not a whole lot of earthwork because there's not a lot of soil that's being disturbed because the area where the addition is going is actually a little lower than the existing camp. So he's just more or less gonna dig out, put a footer in the corners.
It sounds simple.
A footer, you're just talking about a round pad or a.
No, he's
or
gonna
a-
do, yeah, he's gonna form it up and pour it to make it
Right,
so
right.
it's more level. We
Yeah.
want the camp to not move the addition around and vice versa.
Right. Makes
So we're
good.
not doing a full foundation or anything like that. It'll be on stilts or posts, just like the original camp.
Yep.
And then we'll just do screening. We'll do, you know, lattice around it to enclose it like everyone else does with the camp.
And what's the size of that lot? I'm sorry.
It's a little over an acre and 1.15 acres. 200 feet of frontage and 250 feet back.
And the size of this of the structures we would not run into a 20% rule, right?
No, I've run through the numbers with Gary. I think we're well clear of that.
Yeah,
Again, we're not, yeah,
it's about
we're-
3.5%, Peter. It's pretty small.
yeah, we're not trying to maximize to build a McMansion. We want to build what we need. So we're not trying to, you know, change we like the look of the old place, I guess is the point.
Great. Okay. So we're not running into any kind of square foot issue within the distances from the normal high water mark, right? From anybody?
No, it wouldn't be.
So, and I ran on the updated info you had, there was a layout of the square footage, you know, within the 100 feet for each the existing camp and the new addition. And they're well below the threshold.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Peter, I had run those numbers too. They are well below. Of course, I did it with 20 by 22, but off the application, but it won't make any difference in the final outcome. It's like 960 square feet versus 1,500 square feet. That's in the ordinance.
Correct.
Thank you, George. Thanks. So the only thing I'm seeing right now, and these are not showstoppers, would be the DEP certified contractor number on there.
Okay,
I think
we
for
can do that.
detail's sake, thank you. I think the other thing would be a minor edit so that the application reflects what you're proposing, which would be the 4 by 22 on there.
Yeah, again, I thought that was sent to Gary. I know we had some email issues. There's some email issues. That's the way things go. But I will do a revised if you want it. So it says 24 by 22, which matches the schematics that you now have in your possession. Those numbers are all on there.
Yeah. Thank you. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It's just we're treating this application like we would any other one, right? We're trying to make sure details matter. That
Agreed.
someone have a question, that there's no like, what's this, right? I mean, we're trying to do it all, dot our I's and cross our T's in every case.
Yeah, and I called Gary on Tuesday just to make sure of that too. So I can just do a quick revised permit application if you need me to with that new number.
And John, just so you know, so if we were live and in person and doing it, we would,
Yep.
In a room, we could have you go up and edit it, with a date and your initials right next
Okay.
to it. Be that simple, right?
Yep. Okay, I can do that tomorrow. That's not a problem.
Right. All right, planning board members, are there any other questions about this permit application? George?
Getting back to the height, at least on the drawings that I have, I don't see where the maximum height is specified on the addition, but I may be missing something.
Let me just check. Yeah, so if you add the numbers, it's on page, lost track of the page numbers here. Drawing A 3.0, building sections. It's got 8 feet for the main building, 8 feet for the loft to the joist, and then another 4 feet to the ridge.
Okay, I don't have that drawing. Do the others have that? Did the rest of you have that drawing?
It's in the packet that there was a full set of engineered plans that I submitted back in April, but if you don't have them, it's in Gary's package. I sent it again earlier this week. This was all again done by the structural engineer.
No, that's fine. I guess the question is, do we have it in the project file?
Oh,
And I
I
guess
don't
that's
know.
a question for you, Gary.
Yes, I do have it.
Okay, so we don't need a condition to specify the height then.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's all that was all about.
Okay, no, I
Yes.
figured.
Thank you.
So George, to answer your question, yeah, I don't have it either, right? I don't have that same part.
Yeah.
We're at a slight disadvantage there, John, to review the package because we're not seeing all of it. But
Yeah. So, but it's definitely in the package that I sent Gary.
okay, perfect. So George, did that help answer your question?
Yeah, I was just pondering whether or not we needed a condition placing a 25-foot maximum height limit, and but since it's specified in the drawings in the project file, there's no need, in my personal opinion.
Okay, so are there any other questions for the applicant?
No,
Okay,
No.
thanks, Pete.
Nope.
Thank you, Sarah. So while you were asking your question, George, I was trying to prepare the findings of fact and conclusions of law fillable form. Because John, what we have to do now, go through a process, and that leads us to an eventual vote. But the process is something we have to go through with
No, I
everybody.
get it. Yep, no, I get it. Thank you.
Peter?
Peter,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm taking off.
All right. Thank you, Sarah. So
Thank you very much. Good
Yeah.
luck, John. You're
Thank
in
you,
good
Sarah.
hands.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
So now, for everybody's awareness, with Sarah having to leave, the rank court application, we'll have to deal with that another time.
Yeah.
Maybe tonight, right? So getting back to the value application, bear with me, please, as I type a little bit. So the address is 37 Park Hill. Those are 2 words.
One
Park
word.
Space
Yep,
One
Park Hill's one word. Yep,
Point.
Point Road.
Was that map 12, lot 4?
Yes, that's what I have.
Okay, the applicants on date applied for a shoreline permit for. So this is the project details. So what you're proposing to do is, could someone just help summarize so I can enter that in,
You want me to read it, Peter?
if you don't mind?
No, it would be construct 24 by 22 addition with,
Can't read my writing. Incorporated.
oh, incorporated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, it's the scan. Incorporated 24 by 10 porch. Screen
Room.
screen room to be attached to existing camp. No clearing necessary.
Thank you. So I wrote construct 24 by 22 addition with incorporated 24 by 10 porch, comma, screen room to be attached to existing camp, semicolon, no clearing necessary. Is that right?
Correct.
Next, the application was presented to the planning board on, this is today's date, June 3rd. Okay, now we're into stand by. Grab. Okay, so I'll just read this. So to conclusions of law based upon the application materials, testimony, statements, evidence, documents, and other materials submitted to it in the above findings of fact, the Belgrade Planning Board finds that the project is or is not permitted. And then for this use under section 14, table 1 of the ordinance, and further makes the following conclusions based on the applicable provisions in section 16D of the ordinance. Number 1, that what you're proposing will maintain safe and healthful conditions. So by a vote of, and we'll do that in a second, the board found that the standard was met based on, and we've got the standard language, which is based on application submittals in the public record. We'll do a roll call vote.
Peter, before we do that, we need to conclude that it is permitted.
Oh, thank you. I was getting a little ahead of myself. So what would I be putting up there, George? So
I think we just need to vote on whether it meets section 14, is permitted under section 14, the table 1.
okay.
And I would suggest that it is.
I think so. I think so too. Have we done this way, like just by doing a roll call vote? I can't recall if we did that way.
I think sometimes we've done the roll call votes. Other times we've just said is.
Okay. I think, and if we use the standard language based on application submittals and public record, and then did a vote, would people feel comfortable with that?
I think so.
Great.
Myself.
So finding for section 14, table 1, that it is permitted. I'm saying that I'm asking for a roll call vote. So in favor that it is, George,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
and Pete,
Yes.
and I too agree. So that's 5 in favor, none opposed. Then we're on to so now we're on to the applicable provisions of section 16D, so that it will maintain safe and healthful conditions. The board by a vote found this standard was met based on application submittals submittals and public record. So George,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes,
Craig,
yes,
Pete,
yes,
I'm in favor. So 5 in favor, none opposed. Next, 2, it will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters. By a vote, the board found this standard was met based on application submittals, public record. Roll call.
Peter, I would suggest, or would like to offer that, in addition, the basis statement the basis should say, something to the effect of, and with conditions to address stormwater and, DEP certified contractor.
So use that condition, use the statements about conditions in these statements here.
Yeah, well, use this as a segue to 2 conditions that I personally think are needed. One is the stormwater management condition of approval, and the second is the one we discussed earlier, which is the submission of the DEP certified contractor information.
Okay. I think that's a good suggestion, George. So if I said, based on application submittals and public record and the statements about conditions, could you read to me how that went again?
Yeah, so, and conditions of approval to address stormwater management or address stormwater and the DEP certified contractor information.
Okay. So it reads this way. So by a vote, the board found the standard was met based on application submittals and public record and conditions of approval to address stormwater and DEP certified contractor information. Okay. So that sets the stage for us to vote also for knowing that we're going to have some conditions. So, so George,
Yes.
Rich,
yes,
Craig,
yes,
Pete, I'm sorry, Pete, did you say yes?
yes,
Thank you.
yep,
And I say yes too, so that's 5 in favor, none opposed. Number 3, will adequately provide for the disposal of all wastewater. By a vote, the board found this standard was met based on, again, application submittals and public record. All right, roll call vote. George,
Yes.
Rich,
yes,
Craig,
yes,
Pete,
yes,
and that's me, 5 in favor, none opposed. That was the wastewater one. Next is 4, will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, other wildlife habitat. By a vote, the board found this standard was met based on application submittals in the public record. George,
Yes.
Rich,
yes,
Craig,
yes,
Pete,
yes,
I'm in favor too, 5 in favor, none opposed. Number 5, will conserve shore cover and visual, as well as actual points of access to inland waters. By a vote, the board found this standard was met based on application submittals and public record. George,
Yes.
Rich,
yes,
Craig,
yes,
Pete,
yes,
I am in favor. That's 5 in favor, none opposed. 6, will protect archaeological and historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan. So how are we doing this one?
I think we've been, we've gone back and forth between met and not applicable.
I think we have two. I guess right now I'm feeling that we can say that the standard was met because
Right.
there's
Yeah.
nothing there that would meet that.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
obviously, this is not even near any of the 4 sites we have in town.
Right. So based on application submittals and public record, because the information that we have at the town about the 4 sites is a matter of public record, I would say. So therefore, voting George,
Yes,
Rich,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Pete,
Yes.
and I'm in favor, 5 in favor, none opposed. Number 7, will avoid problems associated with floodplain development and use. By a vote, the board found this standard was met based on application submittals and public record. So floodplain, George,
yes,
Rich,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Pete,
Yes.
I'm in favor as well. So 5 in favor, none opposed. And now we get into what's called Section 15 land use standards. We have a number of things, John, to go through. Some of them are real simple, but none of them are complicated. And you'll see why in a minute. So number 8, this is in conformance with the land use standards, Section 15 of the ordinance. A, minimum lot standards. Is that an NA? Am I thinking correctly about that?
no, that wouldn't be applicable, but I believe, it clearly does.
Okay.
I agree.
And we're not voting on each of these individually, correct?
I think we have in the
True.
past.
What was that, Rich?
I thought we have in the past.
Okay,
With
right,
each
good.
one.
Or we
Well-
could lump them all into one vote if you want.
More efficient.
Okay, let's try it. Let's try it. And if we have a problem, we'll go back and undo something. And then, so then letter B, principal and accessory structures. Again, based on application submittals and public record. C is about campgrounds,
That would be an A.
individual private campsites,
NA.
Commercial and industrial uses,
NA.
parking areas,
That would be NA because no new is being proposed.
roads and driveways,
Same,
signs,
NA.
stormwater runoff. It's probably going to be more like the language that we use for, right?
Yeah,
For the water pollution one.
right.
Let me grab that. Copy paste is wonderful. Water runoff. Here we go. That was the based on application submittals and public record and conditions of approval to address stormwater and DEP certified contractor information. J, septic waste disposal system. That would be based on application submittals, because that information was supplied. A, essential services.
That would be NA.
What about mineral exploration and extraction?
NA.
Must be playing gold.
Agriculture. Agriculture,
NA,
timber harvesting and land management roads,
NA,
clearing or removal of vegetation for activities other than timber harvesting. I think Rich asked that question.
yeah, that'll be met.
Hazard trees, storm damaged trees, and dead tree removal.
NA.
Exemptions to clearing and vegetation removal requirements.
NA, I think.
Revegetation requirements.
NA.
Erosion and sedimentation control. I think
I would cut and paste the, or copy and paste the, that earlier language.
I agree. Shoreline stabilization.
NA,
Soils.
that's been met. We have the soils information for the soils from the soil site evaluator.
Yep. Water quality.
I would repeat that same condition from earlier,
Will do.
or language from earlier.
Yep. And then historical and archaeological sites. That would be met based on application submittals and public record.
Right.
And then resource protection. Same.
A.
Oh, wait, Rich, do you think it should be NA? Because it's not.
Oh, aren't we dealing with whether it's in a resource protection district?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
So I think it's NA. I agree with Rich.
Yep. So, John, we're on to the next part, which is where we have conditions, one of which is listed as a standard one, which reads this way: to manage stormwater runoff from new or expanded structures in accordance with section 15I of the Belgrade Shoreland Zoning Ordinance and the Maine DEP's best management practices as outlined in conservation practices for homeowners publication. Such measures are to be put in place prior to building use. This is a standard condition that applies to all permits unless deemed unnecessary by the planning board based on the following rationale. But I believe, I may be going on a limb here, that we want to keep this one, that this applies, right? And then we have some other another condition for sure, right? Someone help me out with a good word that.
Yeah, let me try this. Submit the name and certification number of the DEP certified contractor to the code enforcement officer prior to the start of construction.
Okay.
So submit name and certification number of DEP certified contractor to the code enforcement officer prior to the start of construction.
Submit the name and certification number of the DEP certified contractor to code enforcement officer prior to the start of construction.
Mr. Vayu, I don't recall, but Mr. Labby might actually be certified by the DEP. I can't recall.
Yeah, I can't recall. And Kevin Hawes, I believe, is too, and he's still active.
Yeah, I believe Rick is too.
Yeah, did you use the word Dana Labby before? I didn't know if that was a different person.
Dana Labby, yes, and then Kevin Hawes as well.
Okay. David Labby work for Rick Labby?
No.
Dana Labby, I don't know.
All right.
So who's actually doing the digging, Rick or Kevin?
I think they're working that. They're going to be working that out. They work together a lot.
Because
But also
Dana will
for-
do this pouring, right?
Yes, Dana will do the pouring and
So Rick will do the digging.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Either
Kevin.
way, it doesn't matter to us.
No,
You're gonna submit it anyways.
Yep, perfect. All right, so we have two conditions. The first one, which is the managed stormwater runoff part, right? And the second one is submitting the name and number of that certified contractor to Gary before the start of construction.
Yep.
Are there any other conditions of approval that we need to enumerate here? Anybody? Okay.
not in my opinion.
Okay.
Mr. Bayou, by the way, that DEP document, when the town office sends, I'm not quite sure how they do this now, but they'll send a link to that document to you electronically.
Okay. Thank you.
So getting through the last part of this is the decision part. So we say, based on the above findings of fact and conclusions of law on today's date, which is June 3rd, 2021, the Town of Belgrade Planning Board approved by a vote of, and this is where we vote. So, so based on all the things that we went through, the last letters and the conditions that we've enumerated, I would ask for a roll call vote for approval. Then I would put that result in this part. So voting to approve would be, so George
Yes.
and Rich,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Pete.
Yes.
I am in favor, so that's 5 in favor, none opposed. The shoreline permit application of John and Lisa Vayu. With the above conditions and at a meeting on, that's today's date, so 6/3. Develop these written findings of fact and conclusions of law adopted. These findings on today's date. Okay. So this has been approved. It was mailed to you, and like what George said, when things are mailed out, you'll see some additional materials too, John.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and it will be mailed to your address. I think that was the Yarmouth one. I think you had listed.
Actually, I updated that with the town. I can give it to you now so you have it. It's
Just as long as Julie has it. That's what.
yeah, no, it's I can tell her. So for the record, it's 537 PO Box 537, Belgrade Lakes, 04918.
Thank you. That's recorded in the record, so that will be helpful. And I know Julie's multitasking, so I'm sure she's it, and it's on record here. So go.
Great.
All righty. That'll be mailed to you. I think we're all set, sir. And
Great. Thank you for all your help and work, and thank you, Gary, as well.
Enjoy your summer.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Take care.
Yep, thanks. Okay, so let's go back to the agenda.
Looks like we lost Rich,
Yeah, maybe temporarily.
or he lost us. I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah. My wife would say, "Who's the fool?"
There's something that can be applicable in many
Yeah.
circumstances.
All right, so we've done old business where we've addressed item A. We can't do item B. Under new business, we just handled item A. There are 3 old business. We've handled setting the site visit date for Tyler. Next are the consideration of meeting minutes from the 20th. And that, for the official agenda, that was the last of it. So let's get down to it.
Peter, just a procedural question. Did we need to table the rain court or?
Oh, thank you, George. I think we do need to officially table it, especially since what has developed is the quorum can't be met with Sarah, with the applicant, first of all, not attending.
Not here, right?
And then Sarah having to leave at this point. So I think it would have to be tabled. Now, let me just ask you this. Can that be tabled by the rest of us?
Yeah, I couldn't get my question out quick enough before Sarah went offline, whether that was the case. And at this point of the 3, that's only me left.
Yeah. Since it's, let me just ask you this, ask the board this, and I'm not trying to get around something, but I'm just trying to think of like how this is. It's a procedural thing about how the board could either hear it, act on it, or not, based on this body's presence, right? Compared to making a decision whether or not to approve. It's how to manage it. Based on that, it seems like the rest of us could act on it from each perspective.
I would agree with that, because it's a
Do the rest of you
procedural
feel
question.
okay?
It's a procedural question rather than a substantive one.
Yeah. Pete and Craig, you okay with that?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah, it's an administrative process here we're going through. So, as far as tabling, so that's really appropriate, I think.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to table the rank court application.
I'll make a motion to table the rank court application until Mr. Rancourt can attend and the board has a quorum.
Great. Have a motion
Second.
and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor to table. So George,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Pete,
Yes,
and I'm in favor. So 4 in favor, none opposed. It's tabled. So minutes, they were sent in a separate email, I believe, right? And I think Julie sent them out tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, sorry, I sent them out the other night and I didn't notice they didn't send until I signed on tonight. I apologize.
No problem. Thank you, Julie. Really appreciate it. So does everybody have the minutes?
Yes.
I'm looking for him.
So George, the email I received from Julie came in at 5:34 tonight.
Oh, okay, I found it. Thanks.
Sure.
Where'd it go?
Mhm.
I'm totally incompetent when it comes to the split screening stuff.
That can be challenging. Yeah,
Especially on a laptop.
yeah, I know it. Hi, Rich. Welcome back. So just so you know, so we officially acted on an administrative process which would be to officially table the Rand Court application until there's a quorum and the applicants are present. So while you were away, so just so you know. Now we have the minutes. Do you have the minutes, Rich? So I think I got what you're saying, because I'm reading your lips, but you are muted, just so you know. So
Okay, now, all right. Yeah, I had to get off so I could change computers to get to the minutes.
okay. Okay. Gotcha. All right.
Peter, are we dealing with the May 20th meeting?
Yes, those minutes, if you have them. Yep. We're just taking a minute to go through them. Great. Huh. All set, everybody? So for edits, what do we have? Anybody?
The attendance.
That was one of the first things I noticed too, right, Craig? That so it does not list who was in attendance, and I believe all of us were there plus Sarah, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
So,
that's
right,
my recollection.
right,
I'm
and
sorry, did I not put any of that on there?
I don't see it, Julie.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'll fix that.
Okay, thanks. Right, so thanks, Craig. So that would be a good thing to put on there. Anybody else have anything to add? George?
Under paragraph B, the discussion of the subdivision ordinance with Charles.
Yes.
There's a couple places in there where it uses the term final draft, and I understand why that word was used, but final draft connotates to a lot of people that it is like all done but the crying.
Right.
And so I think we need to change that one way, there may be other and better ways, but would be to in the first line change final to completed, so it'd be completed draft, and in the second line final to complete.
Gotcha.
I just don't want the select board or a member of the public to read that and think, you know,
Yeah.
this is going to the
Final.
voters right away or something.
Like, yeah, that's a good way to do it. So completed draft and then complete, rather than final. So strike the word final. There, that can work. Anybody else have anything? I don't. All right, so edits in there. So I'd entertain a motion for this as edited. These minutes as edited.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as edited.
Thanks. Yeah. Second out there, somebody?
I'll second it.
And seconded. Any more discussion? Okay, going forward. So all those in favor, so George,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Pete,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
and I'm in favor, so that's 5 in favor, none opposed. The minutes are as amended or as edited will be passed. All righty, that's it for agenda items. Let's go to town business. Gary.
The only thing I will mention is I went up and met with the new owner of Tukey's Sawmill and got a feel for exactly what they do there. And the owner assured me that they will never do any pressure treating of materials on that site.
Okay.
He said, basically, all we do is we saw our product here, we truck it to mine it at our other facility, and that's where we do all our pressure treating.
Yep.
Basically,
Great.
he said the only difference is Tukey's, sawed mostly hemlock. We saw red pine. And you could go to Tukey's and buy retail, and you can't buy retail there. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
So they're just basically sawing, right? Cutting.
Yeah, actually, he said we basically saw 2 days a week and work on equipment for 3.
There's something wrong with that picture.
Yep.
Funny. All right,
Very
great.
nice gentleman. I'm glad I got to meet him.
Yeah. I'd like to meet him. What's their name, Gary? If you remember.
Oh, it's hanging on my desk, and I'm at home now. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
No problem.
It's
Seen the
pressure,
trucks
it's
in-
Lumber Treaters of Maine, I think,
Okay.
something like that.
I've seen some of the
Wood Treaters is the name
employees.
of the company.
What's that?
Maine Wood Treaters is the name of the company.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
if you, I earlier when we didn't know what was really going on, I had looked at on Google Earth their is it Minot or Mechanic Falls? Anyway, their original facility.
It's mine.
And it's right in an industrial area. For handling chemicals, it's a good spot. It's right next to the abandoned town dump and a bunch of other industries. There's no residences nearby. So in that sense, it's a good location for what they do there.
And if you've driven by, you see how straight those logs are. Those are all, they come from a plantation, and they all come from Maine, northern Maine.
Huh.
Cool.
Those trees that you see out there right now are about 20 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew red pine grew pretty quickly, but I didn't know that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. These big.
Good
paper
marijuana
companies-
up there,
Yeah. These paper companies will go in and strip a piece, and then they replant it. And that's why they're so straight, because they're planted in rows and they don't touch each other and all of that.
Well, interestingly, the state, the Bureau of Forestry, back when white pine blister rust was first made its way to Maine, encouraged landowners to plant red pine instead of white pine. thinking. And so that's where a lot of those plantations come from. And of course, there isn't all that much of a market really for red pine. This is one of the few. And so it's kind of interesting.
Apparently red pine isn't susceptible to the pine weevil.
Right.
And I believe it grows faster than white pine.
Certainly grows straighter,
Yeah,
at least around here.
yeah. So that's about it for me.
I had a quick question off. Why couldn't they use red pine for doing finish work inside of a house rather than white pine?
Because the grain's too big, it grows too fast. So
Oh.
pressure treated is made out of red pine, obviously in Maine, but a lot of it comes out of Florida too, and down in southern parts of, not so much Florida, but southern parts of the country where they have southern yellow pine. And the grain's so big, the wood checks and cracks and.
Red pine's pretty brittle too.
That's interesting.
Tighter the grain, the straighter the wood will stay and hold. And
Cool. All right. Well, any other town news to worry about or anything? I have seen across from the post office that lunch wagon. Have you guys seen that?
The same lunch wagon that was up to the town office last year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Evan, we
Seems like
take-
an odd placement. I'm certainly not against what they're doing. It just seems.
Yeah, I know. I don't think they're putting Christie's out of business yet.
Right. Not yet.
Gary, do you know that they have some kind of arrangement with Ardito?
Yes, they do. Because when Sean talked to us about purchasing that property, he said the downside is Ralph has a 1-year lease with those folks.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Because I wondered about that because you obviously can't park on Route 27. Well,
No,
you
they've
can-
been parking.
You
They've
can
been
if you have
parking.
a death wish, but
Yeah, they've been parking in his driveway, Ralph's driveway.
and is Sean purchase of that property going forward? Do you know?
As far as I know, yeah, I think so.
Nothing came out of your meeting with Anthony and your meeting with him that impacts that, I take it.
No, I think Anthony sent you all something, didn't he? In regards to the meeting?
No,
I haven't
didn't see
seen it.
anything.
No, you didn't? Oh, well, maybe he sent it to the select board. I'll see if he can send it to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I had a question, Pete.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just for Gary. The hair salon there in the town area, with Steve Foster, I guess, owns that property.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a change of use regarding they're also doing boat storage? What's the story in that one?
I'll send you that as well. We had a meeting with both of them. So we'll send you that. So you have that to take a look at.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else tonight? No? Okay. So this is not a permitting thing. I noticed that over at the old Endicott farm, up on the hill side at the top there, that fellow's making more progress with his site work. I don't know exactly what he's doing. I think he spoke to Gary about that before. Was that to house Gary, like cars or something?
That's my understanding, Peter, from one of the neighbors.
Yep.
Did you say you didn't know exactly what he was doing?
I couldn't recall exactly what he's doing. Was it
He
those
is,
cars?
he's a collector of old cars,
Cool.
and he's building 3 buildings actually to house his cars in. And they had the forms all set. They were getting ready to pour the slab. And then Hammond said, wait a minute, this building is 16 feet tall and it's like 40 by 100. This needs to be engineered. And what you're planning on pouring here for footings is not suitable. So they had to take all the forms apart.
Oh, no.
And that's what they're
Well-
waiting for, an engineer.
Better to do that now, right? Go forward, right? And
Yeah.
have something fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, on top of all the antique cars.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Where's the engineer from? Local?
I don't know who they hired.
Wow.
They're waiting on that one. Pete, do you know a good engineer you can tell that guy?
You know, I think the engineer must be from the southern part of the country, probably, you know?
Maybe so. Maybe so.
Yeah, no snow.
Yeah.
No, they hadn't. No, he hadn't retained an engineer. He didn't think he had to, but Hammonds wasn't comfortable, you know, designing that building. They said, this is a big enough structure that you need an engineer. So I don't know who he hired or if he's hired anybody yet.
All righty. If there's no other news, I think we can get out of here.
A new modern day record.
It is a new modern day record. The sun is still up. My God.
And so aren't we.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's see. Next time we meet, it will be after the moose hunt lottery names are given. So good luck. Whoever put it, right?
It's that time of the year again, huh?
I know it. I know it.
Hey,
Good luck.
Pete, one quick question. You know,
Yeah.
the next meeting is the 17th, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And we got the site review the 22nd, so we'll have all that, you know, that'll be firmed up, obviously.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's call
I
it-
have a question, Peter.
Oh,
I have a
yeah, go
question.
ahead, Gary. Yeah.
I noticed that when the planning board adjourns, they don't make a motion to adjourn. Are they supposed to do that?
I don't know. Should we? I don't know.
The select board does. I know the Sydney planning board does.
We
I
can
know
do that
Augusta
then.
did. I just wondered.
We can do that. I would entertain a motion to adjourn
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
and second it. All those in favor, George,
Jump up.
Yes.
Greg, Pete,
Yeah.
Rich,
Yeah.
me too. 5 in favor, none opposed.
Did you
Good
think
night,
there'd
all.
be any opposed? Seriously?
Nope.
I have a
Gentlemen,
question- I
lady, have a
question
great
about
night.
That motion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
See you guys later.
thank you.
See ya.
Good night, all.
I know.
Done?
Yeah.
That's something.